The Shadow Behind the Glass. In a small town, there lived a boy named Alex. He loved reading mysterious stories and collecting unusual objects. On his birthday, his parents gave him an old book of fairy tales they had found at a flea market. The book was strange. Its pages were yellowed, and the letters sometimes changed color, as if shifting under the light. One story captivated Alex the most. It was about an old watchmaker who had created a glass lens that allowed people to see shadows from the forgotten world. Through this glass, one could see those who came to take people's souls. Alex couldn't stop thinking about the story. In his collection of colored glass, he found an old, slightly cracked piece with a grayish tint. He started carrying it with him, hoping that one day he would see what the book described. The first glimpse of the shadow months passed, but Alex saw nothing unusual. Until one day, he heard that his classmate Leo's grandmother had passed away. "Can I see her?" Alex asked hesitantly. Leo, too grief-stricken to question him, simply nodded and led Alex into the living room. An old woman lay on the bed, covered by a white sheet. Alex carefully lifted the glass to his eye. At first, nothing happened, but then the air in the room began to shimmer like heat waves rising from the pavement. Something was sitting on the old woman's chest. It wasn't a cat or a dog. It was a dark, elongated figure, with limbs too thin and stretched to be human. It was leaning over her face, as if inhaling her last breath. A cold fear ran down Alex's spine. The creature suddenly turned its head. Instead of a face, there was a black void, hollow and endless. Alex tore the glass away from his eye. The moment he did, dizziness overtook him. His vision blurred, and he collapsed. Silence. When Alex woke up, he was in the hospital. His mother sat beside him, her face pale with worry. "You lost consciousness," she explained, stroking his hand. "The doctors feared you had fallen into a coma." Alex tried to tell her what he had seen, but no words came out. His lips moved, but no sound followed. The doctors called it temporary shock. His voice would return soon. At home, Alex took a piece of paper and tried to draw the creature. But every time he finished, the drawing seemed to blur, as if something unseen was smudging the lines. "What is this?" his mother asked, looking at the sketches. Alex opened his mouth, but only a faint whisper escaped. The next day, he looked out the window and nearly screamed. But instead of a scream, only a sharp hiss came out. He ran to his mother and pointed outside. "See it!" he wanted to shout. "The sky, it's the same color as the shadow." But his mother only saw an ordinary sky. That night, Alex dreamed that he was lying in bed, while something dark and tall stood in the corner of his room. It didn't move, but he knew it was watching him. The final note. The next morning, a doctor arrived to check on Alex. The moment he saw him, Alex ran to his room and locked the door. The doctor's arms were too long. That evening, his father came home, but his eyes were hollow, filled with the same darkness Alex had seen behind the glass. He knew they had come for him. He picked up a pen and wrote, "The shadow is near. It watches. The shadow is near. It watches."